John Nellie Kennedy was denied a room at his own hotel, leaving those involved to quickly regret their decision. The Grand Crescent Hotel, nestled in the vibrant core of New Orleans, stood as a dazzling emblem of luxury. Its polished marble exterior reflected the shimmering streetlights, while rain gently drummed against the expansive glass windows. Inside, the lobby exuded opulence. Golden light from the crystal chandeliers spilled over the immaculate floors, and the staff, in their sharply cut navy uniforms, moved with seamless precision. It was a sanctuary of luxury for most guests, a place where comfort and prestige were not just offered but celebrated. However, for John Nellie Kennedy, the man who discreetly acquired the hotel 3 months earlier, it was about to become the setting for an unexpected obstacle. After a taxing day of meetings in Washington, D.C., Kennedy caught a late flight back to New Orleans, his muscles aching from hours bent over dense briefing papers. He yearned for nothing more than a relaxing shower, a quiet dinner, and the comfort of a familiar bed in the hotel he owned. As his cab rolled up to the Grand Crescent's entrance, he let out a soft whisper of relief. Finally. He hadn't yet visited the hotel since acquiring it and relied on Marcus Tate, his reliable general manager, to keep him updated. From afar, the hotel appeared immaculate, its grandeur untouched. Yet, as Kennedy stepped out of the taxi and wheeled his luggage across the sleek marble floor, he began noticing minor imperfections: a subtle water stain on the ceiling near the lobby's entrance, a wilting potted plant, a chair slightly askew due to a wobbly leg. These were minor details to some, but John Nellie Kennedy, skilled in detecting details others overlooked from years of complex negotiations, saw them clearly. At the front desk, a young woman with tightly bunned auburn hair was fervently typing away on her computer. Her badge read, Eliza Thornton. Kennedy, with his signature warm smile that could diffuse tension in the most stressful situations, approached her. "Good evening," he began, his Louisiana accent soft yet unmistakable. "I'd like to check in, please." Eliza glanced up, her eyes quickly scanning his face without a flicker of recognition. "Of course, sir. Name for the reservation?" "Kennedy." "John Kennedy," he answered, leaning against the counter, exhaustion settling heavily into his bones. Eliza nodded, typing away, her brow furrowing at the screen. "I'm sorry, Mr. Kennedy, but I can't find a reservation under that name." "Do you have a confirmation number?" Kennedy rifled through his jacket pockets, realizing he had never formally booked a room, assuming ownership entitlement sufficed. "No confirmation number," he confessed. "This was a spontaneous visit. My assistant usually handles bookings." Eliza paused, typing with more intent. "Kennedy with an E?" she confirmed. "Yes, that's correct," Kennedy replied, as his tired legs grew weary. Moments later, Eliza shook her head. "I'm extremely sorry, Mr. Kennedy, but I'm not seeing anything in our system. We're exceptionally busy this weekend due to a convention." Her fingers tapped the keyboard swiftly, her frown deepening. "It seems we're fully booked tonight," she said, avoiding eye contact. Kennedy was taken aback. He knew the hotel wasn't fully booked. During his taxi ride, he reviewed the occupancy report, which showed a mere 61% capacity. "This must be a misunderstanding," he maintained, his voice calm but firm. "I know the rooms are available." Eliza's eyebrows arched a bit, her professional demeanor suddenly more rigid. "Sir, according to our system, we're fully booked. Might I suggest another nearby hotel? I can ring the Marriott for you." Kennedy leaned in closer, lightly placing his hands on the counter. "I don't need another hotel," he insisted, maintaining politeness but with a firmer edge. "I need a room here. I own this hotel." The words lingered in the air, unexpected and heavy. Businessmen nearby took notice, their curiosity piqued. Eliza's confident smile faltered, her eyes narrowing slightly. "Sir, I understand, but many people make claims here at the front desk. I'd be glad to assist you with alternative accommodations." Kennedy stared at her, momentarily dumbfounded. Was it possible she didn't recognize him? Granted, he wasn't in a suit announcing his identity, but he was John Nellie Kennedy, a well-known figure in Louisiana and nationwide. The idea of being turned away from his own establishment was not only frustrating, it bordered on the absurd. "You don't seem to understand," he attempted again, maintaining his composure. "I genuinely own the Grand Crescent. I purchased it 3 months ago." Eliza's countenance grew distant, her tone edged. "Mr. Kennedy, the hotel's owner is a private investment group, not a single person. Would you like me to call the Marriott?" Kennedy felt a flush of irritation warming his neck. Part of his purchase contract mandated keeping his ownership confidential for a year to facilitate a smooth transition. Technically, Eliza was right about the investment group, which was a company he oversaw. But being denied a room in his very own hotel was an altogether unprecedented irritation. A few more guests filtered into the lobby, beginning to take notice. An older lady, adorned in pearls, whispered to her companion, discreetly pointing. "Is a manager available right now?" Kennedy interjected, cutting through the growing murmur. Eliza hesitated slightly. "Mr. Baxter is around, but he's tied up in a meeting. Frankly, sir, there isn't much he'd be able to do regarding our lack of rooms." Kennedy retrieved his phone and found Marcus Tate's number. "I'm calling Marcus Tate," he declared, his thumb hovering over the call icon. Eliza's expression stayed unchanged. "I'm unfamiliar with that individual, sir." "Marcus is the hotel's general manager," Kennedy clarified, his patience wearing thin. "No, sir," Eliza corrected. "Our general manager is George Baxter. There is no Marcus Tate in our records." Kennedy froze, his finger poised above the phone, startled. That couldn't be right. He had personally appointed Marcus, an old friend and seasoned hotel executive, to manage the Grand Crescent. Where was he? Just before dialing, a young boy clad in a Saints jersey ambled by with his parents, clutching a tiny notebook. The boy halted abruptly, wide-eyed as he recognized Kennedy. "Mom, Dad, that's John Nellie Kennedy," he shouted, pointing fervently. The senator. The lobby hushed instantly, heads swiveling towards them. "The boy on tiptoes," exclaimed excitedly, his voice echoing across the space. "Young man, pointing is rude," his mother whispered, tugging him closer. "But Mom, it's really him," Kennedy acknowledged the boy with a quick nod. The ambience shifted. Smartphones emerged. Whispers intensified. Eliza's attention bounced between Kennedy and the boy, her self-assurance crumbling. "Are you truly John Kennedy?" she asked quietly, doubt tinging her voice. "Yes, I am," Kennedy confirmed, his voice steady. Eliza appeared flustered. "The senator?" she queried, her voice quiet. "Indeed," Kennedy replied. "I apologize, Mr. Kennedy," she stammered. "Politics isn't my strong suit. However, the room situation remains unchanged. We're still at full capacity." Kennedy could hardly believe what he was hearing. Even now, with his identity realized, she maintained her stance on the room unavailability in the hotel well within his familiarity. The young boy, still tightly gripping his notebook, broke away from his mother to approach Kennedy. "Mr. Kennedy, may I have your autograph? I'm doing a school project on Louisiana leaders and you're my favorite." Kennedy's expression softened, his vexation subsiding briefly. "What's your name, young man?" he inquired. Timmy Walsh." "I'm 12, the boy said, thrusting his notebook forward. "Nice meeting you, Timmy," Kennedy responded, signing with a flourish before handing it back. An idea stirred within him. Perhaps being denied a room was not so much a setback as an opportunity to experience the Grand Crescent without the preferential treatment afforded to an owner. "Thank you, Mr. Kennedy," Timmy said, clutching his notebook as if it were a prized possession. His parents offered silent apologies, which Kennedy brushed off with a gracious smile. Turning back to Eliza, Kennedy composed himself. "Is your manager still busy? I'd like to speak with him." Eliza appeared torn, doubt creeping in about her earlier actions. "I'll see if he's available," she said, reaching for the receiver. As Eliza dialed, Kennedy scanned the lobby once more, seeing everything afresh. The chandeliers were breathtaking, yet the carpet near the elevators showed signs of wear. The staff uniforms were immaculate, though the concierge desk was a mess of disordered papers. This was how guests experienced the Grand Crescent. Fascinating indeed. The recollection of acquiring the place flitted through his mind. 3 months prior, he'd been in his Baton Rouge office reviewing potential investments with his financial experts. Next on the list is the Grand Crescent Hotel his advisor, Carla Newen, had mentioned, sliding a folder his way. "It's been struggling financially for years." Kennedy opened the folder, examining images of the once plush hotel, now evidently in decline. This was one of New Orleans' finest back in the day, he mused. "What happened?" "Mismanagement," Carla explained. "The former owner, Victor Langston, seems to have lost interest." Kennedy's focus snapped back to the present. Kennedy's head jerked upward. "Victor Langston?" "Yes, do you know him?" Carla asked. Kennedy leaned back as memories surged. Indeed, he knew Victor Langston. During their college years at LSU, Langston had been a charming business major, always plotting and seeking shortcuts. They had clashed in a student government election, with Langston spreading rumors to sabotage Kennedy's campaign. Despite Langston's attempts, Kennedy had won, but Langston's resentment lingered. "Tell me more about the Grand Crescent," Kennedy said. His interest piqued. The report painted a bleak picture, dropping room rates, bad reviews, and high staff turnover, despite a prime location and solid structure. With the right guidance, it had the potential to flourish. "Arrange a meeting with Langston," Kennedy instructed. Don't let him know it's me. Say we represent a buyer. A week later, Langston entered the conference room, expecting a mysterious investor. His surprise at seeing Kennedy was almost comical. Kennedy, he said stiffly, shaking hands. Didn't expect you. It's been a while, Kennedy replied smoothly. They exchanged pleasantries, ignoring past rivalries. Langston looked older, his former confidence overshadowed by desperation. So, you're interested in my hotel? He asked. I am, Kennedy replied. It has great potential. Langston gave a hollow laugh. Everything you touch turns to gold, doesn't it, Kennedy? Not gold, Kennedy corrected, just hard work. The negotiation was tense. Kennedy's investigators had uncovered Langston's dire financial situation, but Langston complicated the process, demanding a secrecy clause with no public announcement of the new owner for a year. When Kennedy asked why, Langston simply shrugged. I have my reasons. Kennedy considered walking away, but the potential of the Grand Crescent and a chance to prove Langston wrong again solidified his decision. Fine, he agreed. 1 year, but I'm putting my team in place immediately. Of course, Langston replied, his smile not genuine. They signed the deal and the Grand Crescent became Kennedy's newest project. He hired Marcus Tate as general manager and initiated renovations, all while maintaining discretion about his ownership. Eliza's voice brought Kennedy back to reality. Mr. Kennedy, she said, diverting her gaze. Mr. Baxter can see you now. He's coming to the front desk. Soon, a tall man with slick hair and a sharp suit approached, hand extended. Mr. Kennedy, I'm George Baxter, the hotel manager. An honor to meet you, sir. Kennedy shook his hand, noticing his too bright smile. Mr. Baxter, there seems to be a mix-up with the rooms. Yes, I heard, Baxter said, glancing at Eliza, who looked uncomfortable. Very odd. Our system says we're fully booked. Let me check. Typing quickly, Baxter frowned dramatically. This is strange. We should have at least 15 available rooms. Kennedy raised an eyebrow but said nothing. Here's the issue, Baxter declared. These rooms were marked as under maintenance. But I know room 1217 was cleared this morning. So, you have a room? Kennedy questioned. We do now, Baxter confirmed, smiling once more. My apologies, Mr. Kennedy. We'd be honored to have you. Kennedy nodded, watching Baxter intently. He seemed sincere, but why were those rooms blocked? Where was Marcus? Kennedy's phone buzzed with a message from Marcus. Stuck in traffic, an emergency meeting was convened today, explanations to follow. An emergency meeting? Kennedy hadn't authorized anything. Mr. Kennedy, Baxter gestured with a key card. Room 1277 is a deluxe suite, an upgrade at no charge. Kennedy reached for the card, but stopped. Actually, I'd prefer a standard room. No special treatment. Baxter looked puzzled. Are you sure? The suites are more comfortable. I'm sure, Kennedy insisted. I want the real Grand Crescent experience. Baxter hesitated, then nodded. As you wish. Eliza will arrange a standard room for you. As Baxter departed, Kennedy sensed a shift. Something wasn't right. Blocked rooms, an absent general manager, supposed system errors. This wasn't a simple mistake. Room ready? He asked Eliza. Yes, sir, she said, handing him a key card. Room 1223. Kennedy glanced at the key. 1223, a number symbolizing his relentless drive. This will do, he said. Heading towards the elevators, he noticed Timmy and his parents in the lobby. The boy waved excitedly, and Kennedy returned a subtle nod. A plan was forming. He was no longer just a guest, he was an undercover owner, ready to uncover the truth about his hotel. The Grand Crescent was about to reveal its secrets, and John Nee Kennedy intended to make the culprits regret ever denying him a room. John Nee Kennedy exited the elevator onto the 12th floor of the Grand Crescent Hotel, keycard in hand for room 1223. The hallway was dim, with a faint flicker from a buzzing wall sconce. The once rich burgundy carpet showed patches of wear, and a faint mustiness lingered in the air. Kennedy's keen eyes noted every detail: scuff marks on the baseboards, slightly misaligned wallpaper, an emergency exit sign with a cracked cover. This was far from the luxury touted on the Grand Crescent's glossy website. Entering his room, the reality was bleaker. While the bed was neatly made, the comforter was faded. The window view was of a neighboring building's air conditioning instead of a vibrant New Orleans skyline. The AC unit hummed weakly, barely cooling, and the bathroom sink had a slow drip. Kennedy set his suitcase down and retrieved his phone, browsing the hotel website. The images depicted pristine suites, sparkling chandeliers, smiling staff, a stark contrast to his surroundings. He snapped photos of the room's flaws, peeling paint in the corner, outdated TV with a flicker water-stained ceiling tile. This was evidence, and he aimed to gather more. Determined to comprehend the hotel's issues fully, Kennedy decided to explore. He dressed in casual slacks and a plain button-up shirt, blending in as just another guest. His first stop was the hotel restaurant, renamed the Crescent since his acquisition, a nod to the city's iconic shape. The dining room was elegant, with tall windows overlooking the French Quarter, but details told another story. A table wobbled slightly, propped up with a folded napkin, and the menu's leather cover was frayed at the edges. Choosing a corner table for a full view, Kennedy noticed the servers bustling with hurried, almost frantic energy, their smiles strained. A young waiter, Diego, approached with a notepad. "Welcome to the Crescent, sir. Can I start you with a drink?" Kennedy smiled. "Just water, Diego." "How long have you worked here?" Diego hesitated, then replied, 6 years, sir. It's been a ride." Kennedy raised an eyebrow. "A ride? How so?" Diego glanced around before replying softly. "Things used to be smoother. Lately it's been tough. Short staff, late deliveries. We make do." Kennedy nodded, filing the information away. "Keep up the good work, Diego." After ordering a simple grilled chicken dish, Kennedy's attention shifted to a familiar figure across the room, Timmy Walsh, the 12-year-old who recognized him in the lobby. The boy sat with his parents, clutching his autographed notebook and sneaking glances at Kennedy. When their eyes met, Timmy gave a shy wave, which Kennedy returned with a discreet nod. The boy's enthusiasm was infectious, but Kennedy's thoughts were disrupted by his phone buzzing. A text from Marcus Tate, finally here. "Meet me in service hallway, basement level, 10 minutes. Kennedy finished his meal. Decent, but the chicken slightly overcooked, another sign of strain in the kitchen, and headed downstairs, taking the stairs to avoid attention. The service areas contrasted sharply with the guest floors, with peeling paint, exposed wires, and a faint damp smell hinting at years of neglect. Something unusual caught his eye, a pipe with a clean, deliberate cut, as if recently tampered with. His suspicions deepened. In the basement, Kennedy found Marcus waiting near a storage room in a dimly lit corridor. Marcus, tall and no-nonsense, looked tense. "John, this place is a mess," he said, keeping his voice low. "I tried to warn you not to check in until I got here." Kennedy crossed his arms. "Too late for that. What's going on? Why aren't you running things like we planned?" Marcus sighed, running a hand over his closely cropped hair. "It's been a nightmare. The senior staff, Langston's people, are still in place. They disregard my orders, delay changes, even altered the system passwords, and guess what? They still report to Victor Langston." Kennedy's jaw clenched. "That violates our agreement." "Not technically," Marcus admitted. "The contract states, well, technically, Victor Langston's out of the loop when it comes to being on the board or owning anything, but he still has his cronies calling the shots." Kennedy's face tightened with frustration. "Our agreement is being bent even if it's not outright broken," Marcus noted. "The contract stipulates that he can't hold ownership or a board position, but it doesn't ban his people from running things." Kennedy paced back and forth, mind in overdrive. Why on earth is Langston still meddling? He sold the hotel. Marcus leaned in conspiratorially. "I reckon he's aiming to crash the hotel's market value. I've stumbled upon memos suggesting he's behind Bayou Properties, a shell company looking to scoop up failing hotels on the cheap." Kennedy halted his pacing, realization dawning. "He wants to purchase it back." "That's it," Marcus affirmed. "Drive the value down, scare you into selling, and then he slides in for the buy." Kennedy's eyes narrowed as the puzzle pieces aligned. Langston's long-standing grudge from their college days, his relentless drive to win, it was all coming together. Just as they were about to dig deeper, footsteps resonated through the hall. Marcus signaled for quiet, and they ducked into a storage room, crowded with dusty linens and broken furniture. Peering through a crack in the door, they watched two maintenance workers stroll by, one complaining. "Baxter wants the HVAC fixed by tomorrow, but we don't have the parts. I've been asking for months." The other grumbled back, typical. "When it breaks down again, they'll blame us." Kennedy exchanged a look with Marcus. "That's Javier," Marcus murmured. "Great guy. Been here a decade. He's annoyed but committed." Once the coast was clear, Kennedy emerged. "Let's have a word with him." They approached Javier, a lean man in his 30s with a toolbox slung over his shoulder. "Javier, I'm John Kennedy," he introduced, extending his hand. Javier's eyes widened in recognition. "The senator," he chuckled. "I never thought I'd see you down here." Kennedy grinned. "Just curious about the hotel operations. Mind if I ask about these maintenance digs?" Javier hesitated before shrugging. "No secret here. We're stretched thin. No funds for parts, no chance of new hires. Management blames the new boss. Kennedy maintained a neutral expression. Do you buy that? Javier shook his head. Not really. Langston had signed off on a big overhaul before the sale, then it got pulled. Doesn't quite add up. Kennedy thanked Javier and made his way to the next stop, the kitchen. He slipped in through a back entrance during the bustling lunch rush. The kitchen air was hot and stale, evidence of a failing ventilation system. Chef Rosa Diaz, a formidable short-statured woman, was multitasking commands in Spanish and English as her team rushed to keep pace. The clang of pots and the sizzle of steam filled the air, tinged with burnt oil's acrid scent. Kennedy lingered by the wall, observing. The kitchen equipment was hopelessly outdated, a stove with just 2 working burners and a fridge that rattled ominously. Rosa spotted him and halted. "Mr. Kennedy, guests aren't supposed to be back here." "Just curious," Kennedy replied with a disarming tone. "I'm intrigued by hotel operations." Rosa wiped her hands on her apron, her weariness cheekily evident. "Well, this certainly isn't how it should be. We're managing with what little we have." "What's your biggest hurdle?" Kennedy asked. Rosa led him to the walk-in fridge, pointing to shelves that were half empty, laden with wilting produce. "Sis," she said, holding up a pathetic bunch of parsley. "3 months ago, we had top-notch suppliers. Now, we get this junk. Management blames budget cuts, but it doesn't sit right with me." Kennedy nodded. "If you could fix one thing?" "The ventilation," Rosa replied immediately. "It's a sauna in here, and my team's worn out." Kennedy mentally noted this. "I'll see what I can do." As he left the kitchen, his phone buzzed with a text from Timmy, whose father had given Kennedy his number for emergencies. Mr. Kennedy heard something weird. Baxter was on the phone saying, "Hand here, but it's under control. Stick with the plan." "What's the plan?" Kennedy's heart raced. He texted back, "Great catch, Timmy. Stay alert and don't let anyone know you heard that." The boy's information confirmed Kennedy's fears. Baxter was covering something up, likely connected to Langston. Kennedy headed to the housekeeping office where he found Gloria Chen, a petite woman with a no-nonsense demeanor and gray-streaked hair. "Mr. Kennedy," she greeted, shaking his hand firmly. "Marcus said I could trust you." "What's happening here?" Kennedy inquired. Gloria produced a notebook filled with meticulous entries. 3 months ago, Baxter informed us of the new owners slashing budgets. But I overheard him say they're actually aiming to ruin this place before summer hits. Supplies are running low, repairs are ignored, and good staff are bailing. Kennedy's jaw set with resolve. "You wrote all that down?" "Every word," Gloria assured, showing him an entry dated weeks back. By late afternoon, Kennedy had put the pieces together. The hotel was being sabotaged, with blocked rooms, halted repairs, and substandard supplies. Meanwhile, Langston's people pinned the blame on the new owners. Kennedy reconvened with Marcus in a secluded corner of the business center, poring over Gloria's notes and Kennedy's revealing photos. "This is deliberate sabotage," Kennedy stated, his voice firm but restrained. "Langston's playing a strategic game." Marcus agreed. "We need more proof. Documents, financial records. Gloria's got a contact who cleans Baxter's office. They might dig up something." Kennedy leaned back thoughtfully, mind whirring. "I'm staying incognito for now. If I expose myself, they'll just cover everything up. Let's see how far down this rabbit hole goes." Marcus frowned. "Risky move, John. Langston's got connections in New Orleans. If he figures out you're onto him..." Kennedy's eyes shimmered with determination. "Let him try. He's underestimated me before, and it won't happen again." As they parted, Kennedy was consumed by a familiar fire, the same resolve that had seen him through countless challenges. The Grand Crescent was his legacy, and he wasn't going to let Victor Langston snatch it away. He vowed to push forward, probing deeper with the staff, uncovering the truth, one room, one lead at a time. The lobby of the Grand Crescent Hotel bustled with activity as John E. Kennedy stood discreetly near a marble pillar, eyes locked onto Victor Langston. Dressed to the nines, Langston was conducting a group of investors around, painting an over-the-top picture of untapped potential. "The Grand Crescent is a hidden gem," he proclaimed, voice smooth and filled with calculated allure. Current management stumbled, but with the proper vision, it could become New Orleans' crown jewel once more. In his understated slacks and polo, Kennedy felt his internal fire flare. Langston's words were glaring falsehoods, and Kennedy had proof to back it up. Photos of the neglected rooms, Gloria's precise notes, and Javier's account of maintenance sabotage. Timmy Walsh had popped up on his radar with a text about Langston's imminent arrival. Now, with Marcus and Gloria poised to supply damaging documents, Kennedy realized the moment was ripe to expose Langston's plot. As the investors murmured amongst themselves, Kennedy stepped forward, his voice calm yet authoritative. Mind if I join your tour? I've been staying here and have some insights to share. Langston paused mid-sentence, his smile vanishing as he recognized Kennedy, old college rivalries flashing briefly before Langston mustered a laugh. John Kennedy, what a delightful surprise. You're staying at our modest hotel? The investors turned, curiosity piqued. A lady in a navy blazer, Carla Evans, brightened noticeably. Senator Kennedy, an honor. I'm with Bayou Properties, exploring an investment opportunity. Kennedy shook her hand warmly, his gaze firm on Langston. Investment, you say? I've noticed some troubling issues during my stay. Rooms in disrepair and service delays. I'd love to hear how you plan to tackle those. Langston's jaw twitched slightly, dismissing Kennedy's concerns with a wave of his hand. Minor hiccups, typical of new management transition. With a fresh start, everything will be rectified. Kennedy nodded, his smile polite, yet cutting. How about we check out one of those rooms then? Room 12,223, the one I initially checked into, would give a good insight. George Baxter, the hotel manager replacing Marcus, sidled up next to Langston, visibly pale. That room's currently under maintenance, sir, he stammered. Kennedy arched an eyebrow. That's odd, it was available a mere 2 days ago. I'm sure these investors would appreciate the honesty of the experience. Carla Evans nodded in agreement. I'd prefer a candid view. Langston glared at Baxter, but there was no way out. Of course, he said tightly. They proceeded to the 12th floor, Kennedy trailing behind, noting the murmured concerns of the investors as they traversed frayed carpets and flickering lights. Room 12,223 left little to the imagination. Peeling wallpaper, a leaky faucet, and an obstructed view dominated by an air conditioning unit. Kennedy gestured to the ragged comforter. This is what guests pay premium rates for, he pointed out, noticing Evans's displeasure. Langston scrambled to refute. Isolated issues. We're dealing with them. Kennedy challenged. Isolated? The kitchen's chronically understocked, the gym equipment's busted, and maintenance is deprived of basic parts. Sounds systemic to me. Back in the lobby, Kennedy spotted Marcus and Gloria approaching, Gloria holding a thick folder. Timmy lingered near the front desk with his notebook, catching Kennedy's eye and mouthing, "They're moving stuff." Kennedy discreetly acknowledged, recalling Timmy's prior text about Baxter's tense phone call about relocating documents. He seized the moment, addressing the investors. "Miss Evans, I have something you need to see." Gloria passed the folder to Kennedy, who handed it to Evans. "Inside, you'll find documents, memos, emails. Here's something important you need to see." Gloria handed the folder to him, who then passed it on to Evans. The documents, memos, and emails inside revealed everything. The financial records disclosed how Mr. Langston and Mr. Baxter intentionally undermined the hotel. They canceled necessary repairs, reduced supplies, and even pilfered resources to depress its market value, so Langston's firm, Bayou Properties, could repurchase it at a bargain. The investors were in shock, turning over pages filled with detailed plans. An email from Langston to Baxter read, "Keep up the pressure. Kennedy won't last past the summer." Evans's expression turned cold as she read another directive to divert the liquor supply to their warehouse, blaming theft by guests. Langston's face reddened, his voice elevating. "This is a setup. These documents are fake." Gloria stepped forward, her voice unwavering. "I discovered these in Baxter's office this morning. I've been observing them for months. There have been missing linens, ignored repair calls, and staff dismissals." Javier, Rosa, and Diego stepped forward, standing united. "We've kept this place afloat, despite their cuts," Rosa stated, arms crossed. "They told us the new owner was to blame, but we knew the truth." Javier nodded. "I've got a notebook filled with repair denials, all signed by Baxter." Carla Evans turned to Langston, her voice icy. "Mr. Langston, our firm is withdrawing from this deal. You can expect a call from our legal representatives." The other investors murmured in agreement, one already reaching for his phone. Langston's shoulders sank as his plans fell apart. Baxter sensed the shift and tried to sneak out, but Kennedy called out, "Stay right there, George. We're not done yet." A crowd had gathered, comprised of staff and guests, even Timmy's parents, drawn by the disturbance. Kennedy's voice rang out, his Louisiana twang commanding all eyes. "Ladies and gentlemen, I'm John Kennedy, the owner of the Grand Crescent Hotel." Gasps filled the room, followed by whispers. "I acquired this hotel to restore its past glory, but Mr. Langston and his accomplices attempted to destroy it from the inside. They closed off rooms, stole supplies, and pinned the blame on me to suit their plan. That stops now. The crowd erupted in applause, Timmy's voice cutting through. You got him. Mr. Kennedy stood resolute, with staff members Diego, Rosa, Javier, and Gloria beside him, their frustration giving way to hope. Langston, cornered, muttered, You always seem to come out on top, Kennedy. Kennedy met his gaze unflinchingly. Not always, Victor. But I don't have to cheat. Carla Evans handed the folder to her colleague, her expression firm. We'll ensure this evidence reaches authorities. As the investors dispersed, Langston made a last appeal. John, it was just business, nothing personal. Kennedy shook his head. It became personal when you targeted my people. Baxter, now flanked by security guard Ted Foster, looked defeated. Kennedy turned to Marcus, who was coordinating with the staff. Get the police here for statements. And Marcus, you're back in charge, effective immediately. Marcus nodded, newly invigorated. Timmy pushed through to Kennedy's side, beaming. Does this mean you're not undercover anymore? Kennedy chuckled, ruffling the boy's hair. That's right, Timmy. Thank you for your keen listening. The lobby buzzed with renewed energy as the staff of the Grand Crescent Hotel prepared to reclaim their pride. Langston's plot had been unveiled, and Kennedy's ownership was no longer a secret. The victory was theirs, but the journey of rebuilding lay ahead, and Kennedy was ready to lead, starting with the people who embodied the hotel's spirit. Chapter 4. Restoration and Lessons. Learned the Grand Crescent Hotel dazzled under the New Orleans sun, its lobby glowing with polished marble and fresh flowers, as preparations for the grand reopening buzzed around John Kennedy. Months had passed since he exposed Victor Langston's plot to sabotage the hotel, and the transformation was remarkable. The worn carpets and flickering bulbs were gone, replaced with elegant fixtures and lively decor that honored the city's flair. The staff, once tired, now moved with pride, their uniforms crisp as they warmly welcomed guests. Kennedy stood by a new fountain, its gentle flow a symbol of renewal, surveying the scene. The journey had been arduous. Leaky pipes, tampered wiring, and stolen resources had tested their resilience. But with a solid budget and a dedicated team, the hotel was reborn. Kennedy had been hands-on, visiting weekly to supervise renovations and uplift spirits. His steady presence was a beacon for the staff. He headed to the restaurant, now named the Crescent Star, where Chef Rosa Diaz greeted him with a tray of hors d'oeuvres. Mr. Kennedy, try these for tonight's gala, she said, her eyes shining. He sampled a shrimp etouffee, nodding in approval. Perfect, Rosa. Your new kitchen is doing wonders. Rosa beamed. Thanks to you. We've got fresh ingredients again, and my team is thriving. Next, Gloria Chen, head of housekeeping, joined him. All rooms are ready, Mr. Kennedy. New smart thermostats, fresh linens, top-notch. Kennedy smiled. And the staff housing? Gloria's face lit up, fully occupied. The shuttle service is a hit, too. Kennedy had turned an unused floor into affordable apartments, easing lengthy commutes and lowering staff turnover while restoring loyalty. As evening approached, the gala welcomed New Orleans' elite, business leaders, local celebrities, and loyal guests. Kennedy took the stage, his voice warm yet commanding. The Grand Crescent lost its way for a while, but tonight we celebrate its heart. Our staff, who kept it going despite every hurdle. He gestured to Rosa, Javier, Gloria, and others, earning thunderous applause. I came here as a guest, denied a room in my own hotel, he said, chuckling. That mistake revealed the truth to me and the people who make this place special. He nodded to Timmy Walsh, now 13, seated in the front row with his parents, donning a new Saints cap Kennedy had signed. Timmy, you were my sharpest ally, he added, sparking laughter and cheers. After the speech, Kennedy invited the Walsh family to a private tour of the penthouse. The reimagined top-floor suite boasted panoramic views of the city. This is amazing, Tom Walsh said, awestruck. Kennedy smiled, handing Timmy an envelope. This is for you. You've made his year, Senator. Kennedy's expression softened. He earned it. His sharp ears helped save this hotel. As they sat, Kennedy shared a deeper reason for his investment. This place was my father's favorite when he visited New Orleans. He said it made him feel like he belonged. I bought it to honor that, to create a space where everyone feels valued. Timmy nodded, understanding. That's why you fought so hard. Later, Kennedy met briefly with Langston, who had evaded legal repercussions by cooperating with the authorities. You won again, John, Langston said, sounding weary. Kennedy shook his head. It wasn't about winning, Victor. It was about doing right by my people. Langston walked away, a shadow of his former self. The lesson was clear. Perseverance, integrity, and collaboration could transform challenges into victories. Kennedy had encountered betrayal, yet chose to build rather than destroy. The Grand Crescent now stood as a testament to that, a place where staff and guests alike felt part of something greater. As Kennedy gazed out at the skyline, he knew his father would be proud. The hotel wasn't merely a business, it was a community rebuilt through trust and shared purpose, all sparked by a room he had once been denied.